to stop soon. We'll look at the grapes of wrath next time I preach from Revelation. But there'll be the gospel in that too. It's what Jesus endured in your place and what he saved you from.
Amen.
But let's look at this reaping. This first reaping of the harvest of salvation, the reaping of the redeemed. See, when I was preparing, go back to Revelation, when I was preparing this sermon, I was really confused. You know, when you read Revelation, sometimes that happens, right? I was confused because look at verses 14 to 20 of Revelation 14. If you've got some like headings in your Bible, there's two reapings, right? And it seems kind of redundant. You're like, wait, what's going on here? You know, is this like a zooming in or what's going on here? Verse 14 to 16, there's a reaping. And then 17 to 20, there's a reaping. And you're like, well, why is 14 to 16 there if there's going to be another, you know, what's going on? And what I believe is happening here is these are two distinct reapings. Both of which, though there is imagery that sort of hints at the final reaping that the parable seems to be talking about that was read, I believe these reapings are talking about Roman Empire era, what was going on. That these first Christians were reaped for salvation and then reaped to heaven even during their martyrdom. These dead Christians and living Christians were reaped for salvation in the early part of the Christian era, you see, in the Roman Empire. Because the second reaping is very much, I think, talking about what would happen to the unbelieving Jews who had been the persecutors of God's people when the Roman Empire came in and crushed them in 70 AD. So look at verse 14 to 16. This is the first reaping, the good reaping for those who trust in Jesus. Then I looked, and behold, a white cloud. Not a dark cloud of judgment, you see. A white cloud of glory. And on the cloud sat one like the Son of Man. That's Jesus. That's his title. It's throughout Revelation. Having on his head a golden crown. It's Jesus. And in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him who sat on the cloud, "Thrust in your sickle and reap. For the time has come for you to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe." So he who sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped, or the land was reaped. The gathering in of his people, you see, for salvation. We are the quote-unquote, the redeemed from among men. Verse 4 of chapter 14. These were redeemed from among men. There's another phrase, verse 3. We were redeemed from the earth. Okay? That's the good reaping. And it's contrasted with this being thrown, the grapes being thrown into the winepress of God and being trodden down in the blood and all this horrible sounding stuff, you see. And so this reaping of redemption, things are not as they seem. Because this seems so off limits and games locked as you're thinking about this. So you got people who reap for judgment, people who reap for redemption. What's beautiful is that this very warning of this reaping is an invitation to be reaped for redemption, to be brought in, to be harvested by Jesus for redemption. What did he say? In the context of ministering to this woman who had 5 husbands, and the guy she was having now was not her husband. She was shacking up with this guy, John chapter 4, and Jesus offers her the living water, right? And the disciples are kind of freaking out that they don't want to be like, what are you like trying to get out of her? You know, I mean, that's what it, when it says what are they looking for, it's like there's connotations there. Like they didn't want to say, why are you talking to this girl? Like what? Right after they said, look out, look at the fields. You know, you say it's so many months till the harvest. I tell you, look at the fields. They are already white for harvest. Where was the harvest there? Samaritans coming to faith in Jesus, right? The people that you think were least likely to be those righteous people who ascended the hill of the Lord. So it's offered to all of us. You who feel unclean, God offers permanent cleanness to you as a free gift through faith in Jesus. Salvation is a free gift. And that all of this points to that how can God call people like me virgins or pure or chaste? How can God call people like me perfectly honest? How can God call people like me the Lamb's army? It's because it is finished.